All right, everybody. So this is Dr. Taylor. Welcome to Political Science Research Methods, or Intro to Political Science Research Methods, Political Science 201 for the summer of 2018. This class is online. As such, the best way for us to communicate is going to be online. And you all have my email address. You can contact me through Blackboard. I'll even give you my phone number. This that we see here is my office phone, but as I will rarely be there, don't call that number. But if you need to talk, you can call my personal number. I'll give that out on an as-needed basis. But basically, I'm going to go over the syllabus really quickly, and then we'll talk about what's going on in this class and what you'll learn and what have you. So you all know me. I'm Dr. Taylor. We also have a library liaison this summer. That's Stephanie Crow. Stephanie is really great. Please, if you're in Wilmington, or even if you're not in Wilmington and you're in the class and you need help with the library, Stephanie is the first person that you should go to. She's excellent. She's wonderful. She's extremely helpful. But also, I'm a resource to you as well. But particularly if you're in Wilmington, feel free to go see Stephanie anytime at the library. She's really great. You may have seen her in other classes, actually. But anyway, so course objectives. You can read the course description anytime you want, but we'll go with course objectives first. The course objectives are to help you understand how to construct research in political science. Now, I'm a political scientist. Dr. King is a political scientist. Other faculty in the department are political scientists. So we are using political science and political events as the content for this course. But this course is, and you should know 100%, this course is a course about how to construct empirical research, which is a skill set that is widely applicable in any career field you choose. You do not have to be a political scientist. You don't have to work in campaign politics. You don't have to work in IGOs, NGOs, government, public administration. You don't have to do any of that stuff. But learning how to build thoughtful, logical, empirically validated research is a fundamental, critical thinking skill that will be incredibly valuable to you, no matter what career field you choose. So that's one reason this class is important. But we do it in political science with politics. If you were in sociology, you'd use society. If you were in psychology, you'd use more psychological concepts. I mean, it's all the same stuff. It's just that we're using politics. All right? So what you're going to do is you're going to learn how to gather and construct information, from concepts to data, operationalization, measurement, constructing indicators, things of that nature. We'll talk about hypothesis testing, what that is. We'll talk about how to build a hypothesis. Some of you who've taken my classes before probably have heard me talk a lot about this, but you haven't gotten into the details on it. Now we're getting into the details. And then we'll look at the promise and perils of different methodologies. We'll look at the various ways you could choose to do your empirical research over time. So we have several learning objectives as well. In this class, you can read these on your own. I'm not going to read these to you. But basically, we got a lot of stuff going on in here. What we want you to learn, we want you to learn how to use data to explain the world. We want you to be able to understand through information literacy how to get and use quality information to make arguments. What makes good information? What makes a good argument? What is legitimate information to be used? What is not? That kind of stuff. I mean, it's all very straightforward. Again, the difficulty of this course isn't really anything beyond the fact that we want you to be very precise, right? This class is all about being clear and precise in all the work you do. And that's just the most important thing. So you have to give yourself a little time to do that. And we've thoughtfully constructed this 5-week summer course. So hopefully you're able to do that. In the regular semester, you have 15 weeks to do this. So, it's a little more of a slow burn. Here, the fact is that everything you do in this class is 100% possible to be done in 5 weeks. But you have to be very thoughtful and communicate with me if you think you're having issues. But here we go. So main course text is Johnson, Reynolds, and Mykoff. It is the 8th edition. It is available at the UNCW bookstore. It is available online. To the best of my knowledge, there is not a 9th edition yet. If there is, we're not using it. We're using the 8th edition. So it's a widely used textbook in political science undergraduate programs, so you should be able to find it for relatively cheap most anywhere you look. We're also going to be using the Baglioni book. The Baglioni book is about writing a research paper in political science, and this is really important because there is no pathway to becoming a good writer except to write. That's it. And no writing is ever finished. And all writing is rewriting. I mean, I could go on and on and on with this, but the fact is that even authors who write novels and poets and journalists and researchers, all of them will tell you, people who write for a living, and on some level I'm one of those people, people who write for a living always tell you the same thing. Nothing is ever finished, it's only good enough. And so that's something you have to keep in mind. Like, there is no such thing as the perfect paper. There is no such thing as the perfect written anything. It's just good enough. Did you do what you needed to do to make your point with the evidence that you needed to support your arguments? And did you do it in a clear enough, concise way that you feel satisfied with what you've done? All right? I mean, that's the end. So, again, that's why all writing, as I said earlier, is rewriting. Because nothing is ever perfect. You could rewrite something from the day you wrote it until the day you die, and the fact is that it still won't be perfect. So you just have to know that. You have to be good with don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, right? When you write, that's always important. Also in this class, you will be using a lot of citations, and citations will become very important. I encourage you, if you do not at this time have a citation management software, I very much encourage you to adopt one, and the one I would suggest is Zotero. Zotero is, as I say here, an open source citation manager, which has a plugin for Microsoft Word and other open source WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, word processors. Now these word processors are like OpenOffice, LibreOffice. If you use Apple Pages, I'm telling you right now, stop using Apple Pages. If you use if you use Google Docs, that's fine, but you need to always download what you've written in Google Docs as a Word document. If you don't have Word, you can get it from the university for free. It's available. If you don't know about that, then email me and ask, and I will send it your way. So everyone at UNCW has access to the latest Microsoft Office suite, and it's free. So there's no excuse for anyone not to use Microsoft Word. Literally none. Just let me know. We'll get you involved. So, also, Randall Library has an entire page, a web page devoted to helping you figure out how to use Zotero. So, how do you do well in this class? Well, the requirements of this course are that you read the books and that you, quote-unquote, attend class and you participate. There are just 5 modules in this class, 5. And attendance, really, as we say down here, is really just completing the modules on time. The modules, right? I mean, you have quizzes, you have some like objective quizzes, you have some more essay-style quizzes, you have some discussion boards. Again, this class is about writing, and so, I don't know when you want to work. Do you want to work at midnight? Do you want to work at lunch? Do you have things, do you have a job? I got a job. I'm doing a lot of things this summer. You're doing a lot of things. Everybody's very busy. So the reason that I like this class to be asynchronous, that is to say, no required meeting times, no required video sessions, no required chat sessions at any specific time, is because I want you to complete this work when you can. But that means you got to do it on time, like by the deadline, which is always midnight on some given day. Do you do that? We're all good. All right? Now, you got to read to keep up with what's going on, and you got to participate, which is to say, make sure you do your work, make sure it's on time, you're all good to go. So, how will you be graded? Well, you have multiple choice quizzes that are 18% of your grade, as you see here. You have essay quizzes that are 20%. You have discussion boards that are a total of 15%. You have an assignment that is your research questions and theories, that's 5%, and annotated bibliography, that's 10%. a final research design that is 25% of your grade. And so we're talking about a research design in the range of something like 7 to 10 pages tops. If it's much longer than that, maybe I can see you do that in 5 weeks. Probably not. Much shorter than that, I don't think you're really doing justice to your questions. So about 7 to 10 pages is what we're looking for there. But again, like, I don't care how long it is. I care about the content. And I'm just telling you that in my experience, Dr. King and I have talked about this a lot. In our experience, you don't do a good enough research design in fewer than 7, and you're probably talking to talk after 10 pages. But you also have, because part of this class is about presentation and presenting, information, you do have a research design presentation that is worth 5%. So there's 2 components to that. We'll talk more about that momentarily. First component is the actual PowerPoint. The second component is you got to video yourself somehow. You can video yourself on your cell phone. You can video yourself on your computer. Get a friend to do it. Whatever. Well, you can do this. Talk to me if you have problems or issues. There are ways we can make this happen. But that's 5% of your grade, your presentation, and basically it should just be you going over your PowerPoints and doing a good job. And there's a PowerPoint template for you to use as well on that assignment, so I don't want you to feel like I'm throwing you to the wolves, but at the same time, you got to get comfortable talking to people. And then, of course, you have a 2% participation grade, which is basically like you do everything on time, you get 2% added to your grade. All right? Sounds good. So again, here are the descriptions of those things. Please take a look at this. You want to make sure that you, have done the assignments in the way that I try to give you very thoughtful, very well explained assignments. So if you do have questions, of course, you have problems, send me an email. We'll talk about it. Obviously, you want to give me some lead time. You don't want to send an email the day of an assignment is due, and that's just all kinds of trouble. But basically, the multiple choice quizzes are just like quizzes from the chapters, about 20 questions per quiz, and they cover the chapters as outlined in each module. They're randomized. You can take them a couple of times, but the questions will change. So just know that. Then you have some essay quizzes. Each module has an essay quiz of 5 essay questions, and the responses to these questions should be about a paragraph to 2, because you need to put a little thought into it. And again, the reason for this is because the class doesn't lend itself. I mean, the fact is, like, a lot of the concepts we're going to be talking about are just better evaluated if I ask you to explain in some detail what you're trying to say. And so that's why we have the essay quizzes. Discussions are where I want to see you engage with other people in the class. If we were in a class for 15 weeks talking about research design and hypothesis testing and research methods, we would be talking to each other. We would be asking questions like, oh, what's your research about? What's your research? Oh, that's interesting. Mine's this, that, or the other thing. You'd be engaging with each other. We can't do that. We're not in class. So we have to figure out a way to mimic that experience. And the only way that I have ever discovered to do this on an online class is through discussion boards. And also, Module 1, I should point out, has actually 2 discussions. One is a get-to-know-you prompt, and the other one is a more main discussion focused on library resources. Then you have your research design project. Again, it's an iterated assignment. Every assignment that builds up to it leads to your research design. So your theories and questions, your research questions and your theories lead to your annotated bibliography, which then leads to your research design, right? So the idea is that you're not building this out of whole cloth in a week. You're actually building it over the course of the term. Like over 5 weeks, you will have built up a pretty good basis to write your research design, and that's what we want you to do. And then finally, participation. You really just want to check the class Blackboard page every day. Now, we are pressed for time, to say the least. And there are 25 of you in this class. I am one person. I am going to work as hard as I possibly can to get you your assignments back to you very fast, graded, and with explanations. As a result, it's going to be difficult for me to give you feedback on your design before it's due. However, if you have a draft of your research design finished by June 11th, and you submit it on Blackboard by June 11th, I will look at it, give you a grade and some assessment on it, like, oh, this is good, this could be changed, this should look like that. And then you can decide whether you want to turn it in again for a final grade or you want to take the one you got the first go round. That's your option. But if you do not turn it in by the 11th, then I will not give you, if you turn it in on June 12th, then that's it. I'm going to grade that and that's it. That's the final grade. And I do this because I want to make sure that for people who really have gone above and beyond and get their work done quickly and get their work done early, I want to give you the option of giving a little more feedback because you put in a lot of work and I want to reward you with that work, reward that work from you with a little bit more feedback. On the other hand, if you're good with just, letting it ride and doing the final one, which is a 100% fine thing to do. Like I'm not judging one way or the other. I'm just here to say that if you do not turn your research design in by the 11th, you will not get comments on it before the final submission. And that did not work out so badly for people last summer. It's just a fact. All right. Now, if you decide you want to withdraw from this class, you must do so before May 31st. Otherwise, you will not get a W. You will get a WF, and that is no bueno. I say that I may not return any significant graded work to you by the midpoint, but that is not true. I will. I absolutely will. I have to. There's no choice. So that's going to happen. Excuse me. All right. So there's your grades. There's your grading scale, I should say. Mr. Late Work. Basically, look. It's an online class. It's 5 weeks long. If you have a medical emergency and you have documentation that you forward to me via email or some other system, we may be able to come up with some accommodations for you to do that missed work. However, this is an online 5-week class. The bottom line is you've got to be on top of things. If you miss work, that is going to put you behind the 8 ball so badly that it's just really difficult. I mean, it's not going to sink you. Like you miss a quiz here or there, you will not be sunk, right? Not a huge deal. Don't freak out. But if you miss a couple of quizzes, if you don't turn in a portion of this research design, if you miss your antibibliography, you get a 0 for that, my friends, that is not going to work out. So you just need to know that for the month of June, this is what you're doing. For May and June, you are doing research designs. You are doing political science research method. That's what you're up to. You just got to know it, right? I mean, that's just what there is. So, all right. So email, I have an email policy. So try to use this. You don't have to, I guess, because it's sort of a small class. So the issue, again, like I have had a lot of people email trying to get in this class. The class is full at 25. And I don't let overrides in because I'm trying to get your work graded with good comments back to you as quickly as possible. Over 25, it's just impossible to do in this short a class. So that's again, like this is it's sort of a symbiotic. You turn in your work, I get it back to you quickly. That's the relationship. That's the deal, right? So now, for students with accommodations or disabilities, know that you have resources available to you. Contact Disability Resource Center at DePaula Hall. There's the phone number. Right there, we will come up with some accommodation. Now, general policies for online courses. You should use Mozilla Firefox as your web browser. I will confess that I use Chrome and or Safari. However, if you have an issue with anything, it is my understanding that Blackboard privileges and would rather you use Mozilla Firefox. I don't know about UNCW. I think UNCW also, I say that they do, and I think they do prefer Firefox, but, just word to the wise. You will need access to UNCW's Blackboard site and the library webpage, and you will need access to a word processing program, as all files must be submitted as .doc or .docx. These are Word documents. The reason is because Blackboard does not recognize other file extensions with great felicity. Blackboard is a serviceable and certainly not great learning management system. So we want to make this as easy as possible to work, and part of that is using Word files. So do that. I will not be using ShareStream. I will be using YouTube, so you need to have access to the internet at all times. I will engage with the UNCW email system, Office 365 or Blackboard email. This is an online class. You need to save your work frequently. If you email me and say, "Oh, no, Dr. Taylor, I had this great research design. It was right at 10 pages. It was beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever read. And I tried to save it, and the computer crashed, and I lost it." Tough, man. I don't know what to tell you. This is an online class. You have to develop a protocol for saving documents in multiple places. At this very moment, on my machine, I have this file saved to the cloud. It is also saved to my machine. It is also saved to a flash drive I have in my computer at this very second. 3 places. So if for some reason I can't get to Office 365, I can get to my flash drive, or if I can't get to either one of them, I got the desktop, and all around. So the bottom line is save your work in multiple places, because you just got to be able to turn it in when it's time to turn it in. Please make sure that you keep in line with the deadlines. An online class, you've got to be engaged with the class, with the online management system. You just got to check in regularly. Make sure that you are practicing, good protocol with written word. This class is about the written word, so good writing is important. I will check Blackboard with some frequency, but I'm not available 24/7. So if you email me, I will try to get back in touch with you within 24 hours. But, we all have lives, right? Due dates are absolute. Turn your work in on time. Again, there is no excuse for not turning your work in on time. Your internet connectivity issues, your weather, power, none of it matters. Wilmington is in southeast North Carolina. Some of you may be living in other parts of North Carolina or the South or other places around the country. I don't know. What I do know is it's summertime. Summertime means possible hurricanes. God hope not. Summertime means possible bad thunderstorms, all kinds of weather events, down trees. Time Warner decides they don't want to do internet. I don't know what's going on. Bottom line is this. Over the course of these 5 weeks, when there is a deadline, that is an important deadline. The only excuse that will happen, and we will deal with this as it comes, is if Blackboard was to be shut down for some reason. And UNCW does a lot of work to make sure that doesn't happen. So if Blackboard goes down, we're in trouble. Otherwise, no excuses. Plagiarism is a really crucial and important thing to understand. It's part of the information literacy component of this class. Plagiarism is taking somebody else's words or ideas and passing them off as your own. In my experience, it's usually not the case that students who plagiarize are honestly trying to take credit for somebody else's ideas or words. They honestly are not trying to say that some famous political scientist said X and I'm going to write it down as if I said it. That's usually not what happens. Sometimes it does. Those people get expelled. But most of the time it isn't. So plagiarism is a problem that does require a bit of education. So if it comes to my attention that you have plagiarized, and I always use SafeAssign and other plagiarism detection software, just in case, as a help tool. But also I know the literature pretty well, so I can tell, like, if you're writing something and it sounds curiously like something that was written in 1997 by these really famous political scientists, I'll be able to sort of figure that out and look and see and say, oh, yep, Bobby did this. That's bad news. But the fact is that plagiarism happens when people don't give credit where credit is due. Other people have written about these ideas that you're going to be writing about before. And as long as you give them credit and acknowledge that they've written about these things, then you're in good shape. So over the course of the term, as we start to write and as you start to do work for your research design, if you have questions about plagiarism, I'm happy to talk to you about it. If you think that you have plagiarized, if you are concerned that what you're doing may be possibly ever so slightly construed as plagiarism, just let me know. Let me know and we'll talk about it and we'll see and I'll explain why it is or why it isn't plagiarism and we'll go from there. But if you turn something in that's clearly plagiarized and I say, hey, this is plagiarized, you need to work on it again, you turn it again, you haven't made any changes, that's an F. And if you do it again, then I'm going to give you an F for the class and then we're going to talk about pressing charges with the university. It's bad news. You don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So bottom line is plagiarism is bad news. Don't do plagiarism. Do not copy paste. Don't do any of that stuff. Do your own work. All right. There are several things about that here. You want to be familiar with the library. The library has a lot of helpful pages about how to paraphrase and how to take other people's ideas and use them in your own work without plagiarism. That's possible, by the way. So check that out. And then obviously, there's a grade appeal process you can read about, and then I may add material over the course of the term, and that could change things. So just be aware, and I'll let you know ahead of time. All right, academic dishonesty, we talked about that again. You can read that on your own. Basically, bottom line is don't plagiarize. That's the only way to cheat in this class is plagiarism, so don't do that. All right, let's talk about the modules. Course schedule. The first day of class is May the 16th, 2018. On May the 18th, you have 3 assignments due: syllabus quiz, browser check, getting to know you. These assignments are put in place for you to get familiar with Blackboard, for you to get familiar with the class, and for you to get familiar with this course specifically in Blackboard as an online class, and also so we can get to know you a little bit. And then by the end of that week, May 21st and 23rd, you've got your multiple choice quiz, your discussion, your first discussion, and your first essay quiz, right? So that's chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, all in the first module. Module 2 is chapters 5 and 6. You got a multiple choice quiz, discussion quiz, essay quiz. Module 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. Multiple choice, discussion, essay. See the trend? See how this goes? And notice that you always have these due a little earlier in the week. This is due at the end of the week, or the end of the module, I should say. It's sort of the middle of the week, technically. Then you got making sense of data here, chapters 11 and 12. And then this gets us close to the end of the term. And then finally, the last day of the term is the 18th. So modules 4 and 5 are really sort of back-to-back there. So be aware of that. I had to do that because you just got to get through this information. There's just nothing we can do about that. But at the same time, you are sort of advanced in the class at this point, so it ought to be a little more straightforward for you. And then, so here are the non-module related due dates. Every one of these assignments is going to be available to you on May the 16th. Some of you may have already actually seen them if you've been into the Blackboard class. When I transferred everything over, the old due dates came over, but also all the old open dates came over, so it's just a little weird. But anyway, but I've closed all these off until the 16th because I'm doing a little editing on some of this stuff. But on May 16th, your research, all 4 of these assignments right here, all 4 of these assignments will be available to you, and you may do them at your leisure. But you must do them by the dates that are listed here: May 25th, June 7th, June 18th, June 18th. Right? You got to. So if you submit your research design, this research design, by June 11th, then I'll give you comments on it, and you can turn it in again by June 18th to get a better grade conceivably. Or you can just go with the one you got the first time. But if you don't turn it in by June 11th, if you turn it in on June 12th, then that's just your final submission. That's all there is to it. So these 4 assignments are available all semester long. These modules 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, will come open on a rolling basis. They'll be open for the module for the week, and they'll close. Open for the week, they'll close, open, close, right? So you got to stay on top of these things. You don't want to miss any. You don't want to miss any assignments. You don't want to miss any quizzes. But you do want to make sure you stay aware of anything that's going on. So now again, the final exam portion of summer, we don't have a final exam. You just have these quizzes. You got this research design. It's all very straightforward. This may look like a good deal of work right now, but let me promise you that once you get into the flow of things, it all makes sense, and it's all very straightforward. The most important things for you to do, to watch the lecture videos I posted, you want to make sure that you have, that you read the book, and that you email me with questions, and that you stay current on what you're doing with the work. The book is written in a very accessible way. It's a great book. I'll go back up here to the top of it. This Johnson, Reynolds, and Mykoff. Very good book. Very accessible book. I really like it quite a lot. So it is your Bible for the next for the 5 weeks of this class starting on May 16th. So that's your syllabus. If you have any problems or questions, you can, of course, email me at taylorjb@uncw.edu, or, of course, contact me through Blackboard. Either way, it's all good. And look forward to having you in the class. It's going to be awesome. And see you soon. Well, quote unquote, see you soon.